You see, she was playing the harlot. She was an adulterous wife, if you please, because she had the kings of the nations as lovers instead of the Lord, her God. In Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 30, God speaks even more graphically. He says, "How degenerate is your heart, says the Lord God. Seeing you do all these things, the deeds of a brazen harlot." That word brazen in the Hebrew means to exercise autocratic control. It means to get one's way or to be domineering. In other words, Israel became a domineering harlot, wanting her own way and wanting to exercise control and dominion. We noticed in our study last time that Israel had daughters, daughter harlots, who shared her point of view and also assimilated the pagan practices of the surrounding nations. And we studied that Israel shed innocent blood. The blood of those who opposed her agenda were slaughtered and slain by Israel. And therefore God told Israel, "You are going to drink the cup of my wrath to the very dregs, and destruction is going to come from the four corners of the earth, and you will fall and you will be destroyed." In fact, God said, "The very kings that you have fornicated with, the kings that you have assimilated all of these abominable practices from, they are going to rise and they are going to slay you and they're going to leave you naked." But we noticed in our study that even in the midst of the apostasy, God had a faithful remnant. And God placed His seal upon this faithful remnant who sighed and cried because of the abominations that were being committed among His people. And when the destruction of Jerusalem came by Nebuchadnezzar, we find that this faithful remnant that was sealed on their foreheads, according to Ezekiel chapter 9, was spared from the destruction. When the adulterous wife was destroyed, God's faithful people who sighed and cried because of the abominations that God's own people were committing, they were spared. Now, it's not like God had not warned Israel about the dangers that she was going to face when she entered the promised land. In Leviticus chapter 18 and verses 26 to 30, we find God's warning to Israel. Notice what it says there. "You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, either any of your own nation or any stranger who dwells among you. For all these abominations the men of the land have done, who were before you, and thus the land is defiled. Lest the land vomit you out also when you defile it, as it vomited out the nations that were before you."